Okay guys, this is part 2 of the FMS P-51, the 1450mm series from Banana Hobby. This is the version 7 with I think the 7.5, a couple of the 7.5 upgrades. I had the version 5 and I sold it a few months back, and I missed it so much that my wife let me buy this one. Again, it's from Banana Hobby, and talk about some of the things, some of the issues I ran into, and some helpful tips. First thing you might want to do is get a good stand, or build a stand for building this thing. Especially when you're flipping it over or working on the retracts, it's really helpful. This one I got the idea from YouTube user inthetubedeep. This is just PVC, half-inch PVC. These lengths are 9 inches, and then the long length that runs the length of it is 20 inches. Okay, so just a couple of 90s, and then some cross pieces, and then some caps, and the foam is just in the same location as the PVC in the hardware store. Lowe's or Home Depot carry it. So, okay. Next thing I want to talk about is some of the things I've done, some of the things to watch out for. It comes with foam hinges, and what I do on all these planes is I cut the foam hinge out and I put Dubro pin hinges in. It's very simple. I just use CA glue. I cut a little slit in the foam. After I cut the foam hinge out, cut a little slit in the foam, put some CA glue down in it, and then put the hinges in. And what you're going to want to do is keep working it so the glue doesn't work into the hinge and bind it up. I found that rehinging with Dubro pin hinges alleviates some of the stress on the servo, so servos don't have to work as hard to move the control surface. Okay. The other thing you want to do is check all of the screws, and especially the metal-to-metal screws and hardware. I found that most of them are loose, so I had to go through and put Loctite on all of them and retighten everything. So there's a couple of set screws in the push rod adapters on the servos, and then all the metal screw components in and around the motor. So definitely put some Loctite on that. So okay. What I found helpful was I got a Turnigy servo tester. Okay, I'll show it to you here. Just bear with me as I move the camera. Okay, this is the servo tester I'm using. It's from Hobby King, and it's really helpful as you test the servos as you're putting the plane together, because you don't want to get it all together and then find out that you got some bum servos and you got to replace them. So test some of the servos. What I did is just got this servo tester. It can test 3 servos at a time, and then I just built a simple battery pack that I got from Radio Shack, and I had to put a receiver lead on it to plug into the servo tester. Okay, so pretty helpful. As I got the camera here, I'm going to go over the battery that I'm using. It's a Sky Lipo 4-cell 3300 40C battery from Hobby Parts. Fits in there pretty well. I'll show you how it fits in there later, but seems to be a perfect fit. Doesn't move around at all. So I'm actually a big fan of the Sky Lipo, so that's what I'm going to be using. Okay, bear with me as I move the camera. Alright, some of the other things that I want to talk about is the upgraded retracts and the inner gear doors. I found that when I was using the servo tester on the gear doors, I think the sequencer that comes with the model has different endpoint adjustments. So when I was testing it with the servo tester, I found the endpoint, but then when I actually hooked up the servos for those inner gear doors to the sequencer, they didn't close all the way. So I think they have a different endpoint adjustment built in. So just keep that in mind as you're testing the inner gear doors. Let's see. Some people have reported that they've had to put their inner gear doors on the outermost hole of the servo. I actually didn't have to do that on mine. It's just, I think, how the servo comes. I'll show you right here. Actually, let me extend the servo gear doors. I don't know why they're closed, but just bear with me as I hook everything up. Again, just bear with me here. Okay. All right. Pretty simple. Let me adjust the camera again. And sorry about this, guy, just bear with me here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn the model over. We'll take a look at the retracts. Okay. I'll show you what I had to do. What I was getting is when I was closing the gear doors, I heard some binding, and it took me a while to figure it out. But what happened was, let me zoom in here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. But what was happening is this servo horn, as it was retracting, was going down and it was hitting the foam on the bottom of the fuselage. So what I had to do is carve out some foam, a deeper hole here, so the servo horn could travel all the way down. And then that alleviated some of the binding, so just keep that in mind again. Okay, we get some close-up shots here on the retracts. Very nice retracts. Okay. One thing I want to talk about too is I have the outer gear door spaced quite a bit away from the wheel, as you can probably tell. And the reason for that is, I don't know what's going on, but the other one seems to be fine. But when this wheel was retracted and as it was extending, the top of the gear door would catch on the bottom of the wheel and it would bind. And I thought it was going to break this piece of plastic. In fact, the retract, I think it knew that it was kind of binding, so it just had an auto shut off and it stopped. But I had to space this and bend this wire and space it really far away from the wheel to get it to not hit the bottom of the wheel as it was extending. So just keep that in mind, something to watch out for. Okay. Alright, slip it back over. Actually, let me, while it's over here, I'm going to get a quick close-up shot of the rear retract, just to show you what it looks like. Now, I didn't have the version 6, so I don't know what the retract looked like on that one, but let me go ahead and show you what this looks like in here. Kind of a neat setup. As the wheel goes down, it pushes on this little mechanism and it pulls the the gear doors in. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see this, but here we go. Okay, that's what it looks like. Alright, let's flip it over. Quick note about the decals. The decals took kind of a while to put on, but when I was putting the decals on, I noticed that the ones that go in the blue paint didn't look very well. So I decided not to put any of the decals on any of the blue surfaces, okay? It's just a matter of preference. It's definitely up to you guys. So, alright. The speed controller I'm using is, I took the stock speed controller out. This is an ARF package, so it came with all the electronics except for the receiver and the radio equipment and the battery. So obviously I'm using the new battery. The speed controller I'm using is an Exceed RC Proton 80 amp ESC, and it's from hobbyparts.com. and I did not get the opto one, so I had to disable the receiver lead. I'm actually using an external Castle Creations 10 amp max BEC, which I'll show you. Okay, and another thing I did is, I think some of the people were having some trouble with the Y harnesses glitching, and you know, the quality issues of the Y harnesses were kind of suspect, so I replaced all of the Y harnesses in the entire model. Okay. And I paid a little bit more, but I think I don't want to risk the plane going down because of a Y harness, so that's how the battery fits in there. Fits in there pretty snug, and I think there's a little foam piece on the front of the canopy that keeps that battery in place there, so it doesn't move around at all. So, all right, let me pull the battery out there. All right. What I did with the BEC, this is the BEC I'm running. It's the the Castle Creations 10 amp. And what I did was, instead of soldering it right to the ESC lead, I made a little jumper here. So if I need to take it out of this plane and put it in another plane, I can. And the reason why I wired it up like this is when I unhook the battery, I'm pulling on this connector, and I'm staying away from these little wires to the BEC, so it's all safe. Okay, so just a little short jumper, about probably 3-4 inches long, and works pretty good. Okay. Now when I did this, because I don't have an opto ESC, I had to disable the red wire from the speed controller, and the way I did that was I just used a little 3-inch extension and I disabled the red wire on that. And I've got another video where I go through on how to quickly disable that red wire easily without cutting it, so check out the other video for that. Okay. Alright. Alright. The stock spinner, the way it comes, is pretty out of balance, it seems, so that's why I don't have it hooked up here. I want to show you how I balanced it. Okay. The way I balance these is, especially with these large spinners, is first I balance each blade individually, and I find the 2 heaviest ones and the 2 lightest ones, and I put the 2 heaviest ones opposite of each other, right there and right there, and then I put the 2 lightest ones opposite each other. That way I don't have to add so much weight to the inside of the spinner. Okay, and the way I balance these spinners is I put pieces of the soft side Velcro inside the spinner, and then I just add in some drops of super glue and kicker until I get the right weight. And the balancer I use is a Dubro prop balancer, which is this one here. Okay, just keep adding little drops of super glue until you get the balance right, and that seems to work good for me. So, okay. Last but not least, I think most people get a 5th prop as a spare, and it's labeled replacement. So in case you break one, you get an extra prop. And I think they said 70% of users get a free gift, and my free gift was a extra pilot. Pretty cool. All right. I think that's it. Thanks.
Okay, one last thing I forgot to mention is another problem I ran into is when I retracted extended the gear out, I noticed the gear, the wheels were not straight, so they're actually significantly off straight, so they were going to one side. Both wheels were the same way. So what I had to do is I had to take the retract out, the whole retract assembly, and there's 2 grub screws, one on each side of this this rotating mechanism, and I had to undo those, take the gear off, and resand the flat spots in the strut way inside here to get them on center. And then it's just kind of a trial and error, you put it back together, tighten it, put the retract back in until the wheels are perfectly straight. And then, hopefully you can see here. Yeah, because what they were doing is both wheels were very cockeyed off to one side. And that would not be good when you're trying to taxi around or take off or land. It's going to shoot one way. So to straighten the wheels, I had to resand all of the flat spots inside the rotating mechanism to get the wheels straight. So just another detail thing you might want to watch out for. It's not hard, it's just a little bit of time consuming, just some quality control stuff. So thanks. Okay, a quick thing I forgot to mention is balancing the plane. Definitely one of the most important things when you're getting ready to fly is to balance the plane. This is just a balancing thing I've made. Just again, 1/2 inch PVC. It's on one of my other videos, so check it out. It's cool because you can move these to adjust for different widths of the fuselage and different widths of the balance point. So, all right, thanks.